All right. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to our lesson 3 of our C Sharp beginners course. So, my name is Gideon Edotu, and I would be your tutor for today as well. So, our agenda for today will be looking into what C Sharp is all about. Then we'll look into variables, common C Sharp data types, defining variables, initializing variables, variable range tests, default values, and we'll now go into demo and or please, if at any point in time I'm explaining and you are not clear with any of the stuff I said, you can just drop it as a comment. I can actually see your comments, right? So in case you are lost, just drop it on the comments and where you are lost, and I would go over it again. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so introduction to C Sharp, right? So C Sharp pronounced C Sharp, right? It's a powerful modern programming language that is created by Microsoft, right? So it's a key part of what they call the .NET framework, which is a very big platform for building all sorts of applications. So you will see C Sharp in everywhere you go. Like you definitely see C Sharp. C Sharp is used for most of the development. You can use it to build dynamic websites, like using the ASP.NET project type that I showed you in our last class. Then for creating traditional desktop applications like Slack application, desktop application, and all. Then for developing mobile apps for both iOS and Android, you can actually use C Sharp for that with the help of Xamarin or Maui. Okay. Then for those who would want to go into game development, C Sharp can be used to build games, right? Using Unity, which is an environment for that, then cloud services and Azure, right? So C Sharp can basically build most applications and software. So it's designed to be powerful and flexible and relatively easy to learn, right? Okay, let's go over to the next slide. Variables and data types. Has anyone heard about variables before, or is this your first time of hearing variable in coding or programming? Have you heard of it before?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone here that has not come across variables? Like you have not heard of the word variable before? Okay. Deligwe, I think this is your first time of joining this class. But how are you? Okay, so I
I'm
guess,
fine.
all right, so I guess everyone knows what a variable is. So let's talk about what a variable is, right? So imagine your computer's memory as a vast collection of tiny storage boxes, right? So a variable is essentially one of those boxes that stores items or values so that they will not be lost and all, right? So basically, when you hear of variables, you think of them as a container that would have a name and a location where you can easily locate them, right? So variables can store different values, right? We can use variable to store in names of people or maybe the age or the gender of a particular person. When you want to store a particular value, what comes to your mind is we have to create a variable that will hold this data so it doesn't, because the computer will definitely need them later on in future. That is why we need a variable to store most of these values, right? Is anyone lost? Are we good?
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
good.
feedback. All right, so I can proceed. Like I said, for those joining now, if you are lost somewhere, please just drop it in the comment section and the particular area you are lost, and I would go over it again, right? So each variable, there are three things that makes up a variable, right? First of all, every variable in programming and when coding or when you're trying to create a variable, every variable has a name which defines what that container is actually storing, right? So we can have variable names like username or maybe first name or last name, right? So last name is saying this variable is actually storing the last name of a particular person, okay? We can have variable names like age, which stores the age of a particular person, which can be maybe 21 or 25 or 29 or 30. Then after the name, the next thing is what? The type, right? What kind of data will this variable hold, right? So in C Sharp, we have different data types, right? So every data, right, data can actually be numbers, or it can be text, or it can be true or false value, right? So when I mean numbers has to do with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, thereabout. So when you have a variable that is storing the age of a person, and I want to ask, since the variable is storing the name of the age of a person, is that data type a number or a text? Is a number, right? Great. So what if I have a variable that is storing the username of a person? Is it a number or a text?
Text.
Text, right? Great. So great. So the name for the variable, then the data type for that variable, and finally the value. The value has to do with what is the value or what is the first name of that particular person. So if I have a variable called username and I have the data type called numbers, so numbers username equal to what is the value of the username. So the value of the username is going to be let's say Chidima or Gideon 111 or Stephen and or what if I have a variable name called age? So number age equal to 21, 25. So that value is actually what is being stored in the variable. Is that clear? Can I proceed? Hope no one is lost.
Yes, you can proceed.
All right, I'll need feedback. So now I know everyone is following. All right. So reason for why we would need a variable is basically to store and manipulate data dynamically within our program. So let's go on to the next slide. So C# comes with various variables and data types, right? So every variable you declare, every variable you create has to follow the right syntax, right? So for creating a variable which has a name, there must be a data type attached to that variable name. So in C Sharp, we have different data types, right? So the first one is the int, which is the short form for integers, right? So what does this int data type do? What does it do? It works with values or variables that deals with what? Whole numbers, right? It works with values or variables that deals with whole numbers. So sorry about the noise. So if you are given a problem and the problem requires you to create a variable that deals with numbers, it is advisable to use data type int for that variable because it deals with whole numbers, and examples of the whole numbers could be 10 minus 500, zero, anything that doesn't have decimal is basically a whole number. Is that clear? Sorry about the noise. Okay. So the second data type is double. So what does this double do? What does it mean? So like in mathematics, right, for instance, it's possible that we come across values that deals with decimal, like maybe we are given a problem to calculate the area of a circle. We know when calculating the area of a circle, which is pi r square, there's a high possibility that our result would have a decimal value, right? So in instances, in case scenarios like that, it's advisable to give our variable a data type double, right? And not int, because int stands for what? Whole numbers. Double stands for decimal numbers. So when trying to solve a problem that requires decimal values, it is best you use double for your data type, attaching it to that variable name, right? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes,
So
tutor.
the gift, yeah, go ahead. Go
Good
ahead,
afternoon.
gift. Yeah, good
All right, good
afternoon.
afternoon, everyone. Sorry, sir, I'm just coming in now, so
That's it. That is just. I know if it was IK, no good grill. Hey, I have so many things to cover today. Oh, that's why.
Um,
Ayana, let's go over it again. Let me
thank you,
just,
sir.
let me just go over it again. Mm. All right. So you guys can see my whiteboard, right?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes.
So I'm going to diagrammatically explain what a variable is using a diagram so we all get the picture, right? So assuming this is your computer, right? This is your computer. Your computer needs a place for storing maybe the name of a person, right? So we as a programmer, we decide to create a portion, right, that would hold what? The name of a person, right? And this person could be, maybe we can call this particular location that is holding the name of the person, maybe name, right? Then you are asked to also create another variable that will store the age of a person. So what do we do? There would be a location that holds what? The age of that particular person, right? Age, this. So why are we doing this, right? So the reason we are doing this is because we want to use these values to perform some operations in order to carry out to get the result or the solution to a particular problem, right? Variables are containers that holds the value of things, right? So if in a problem you're asked to find the create a variable that stores the name of a person and the age of a person, what that means is that you should create a variable that will hold the name of a person, right? And also create another variable that holds the age of a person, right? Then it doesn't end there. You have given the variable the name. The next thing is what type of data will that variable hold, right? First of all, you have given the variable the name, which is what? Name and age. Second question is what type of data will name hold? What type of value will it be? Is it going to be a number or a text? Git, will it be a number or a text?
It's going to be. Sorry,
Hmm?
I didn't get your question right.
All right. So we have created a variable called name, right? So
Yes,
the question is, what type of data will this name hold? Is it going to hold numbers or is going to hold text?
text.
It's going to hold text, right? Great.
Yes,
How about age? What type of data will it hold?
number.
number, right? So great.
Yes.
So from the table here, let's go back to the table. So from this table here, I said whenever we want to store a data, we want to create variables for that will store data. The first of all is that we give a name to that variable. Secondly, we ask ourselves, what kind of data will this variable store? So if it is a number, we use what? Int,
Int.
right?
Yes, sir.
Great. And what's the description for int? It means it stores
Whole
only
number.
whole numbers, meaning 10, 20, 30. But when we have 10.5, 4.8 decimal, it's not advisable to use int to store those values because there is another data type that does that. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Great. So the next one is double. So double holds data types that are in decimal values like 3.14, 0.5, 123.45, and all. So when you are given a problem, maybe let's say calculate or write a program that adds to number, say 4 and 5. You already know that 4 is a whole number and 5 is also a whole number. So what comes to your mind is I'm going to use what? Int, because
Mm.
I'm actually performing whole numbers calculation, right? But if you are given a problem that is saying find the division of 4 and 3, you know, division now, for those that do mathematics, right? Division now, what would be your result is that your result will be in decimal now, right? Maybe
Yes, sir.
0.4 or 4.5. So it's advisable to use double in that scenario. Okay,
Yes, sir.
great. So for the Boolean, there are variables that more like tells if it's going to be true or false. And what do I mean true or false? Let's say you are asked to create a variable that would determine if this student is a male or a female, right? If it's a male or a female, right? You know how this true false value is. If it is true, it's not going to be false. If it is not false, it's going to be true. So it's more like if you are not male, what will you be?
To be a
A
female.
female. If you are not a female, what will you be? It will be a male. Forget all those transgender whatever stuff. Yeah, does not apply in coding. Okay, so like I said, when you are trying to determine the Boolean for a condition, right? A Boolean value of a condition, like is this person male or is male? Is this person a male, right? So the value, that kind of value means you are going to store either true or false. Don't worry, when we go into coding, the demo, you see how that will play out, right? Then for char has to do with single characters, So assuming you want to just, single character means one value, just one value enclosed in a single quote, like you see in the example. When we go into the demo, you will see everything out, everything clearly and all. But for now, just know that for char, when you are dealing with data types that requires just one character enclosed in a single quote, it's okay for you to use char for that, right?
Yes,
Are
sir.
we good? Yeah. And finally, for string is a collection of characters, sequence of characters. When you want your data requires sequence of characters or more than one character. You know you can't use int now because int is for values, double is for values, boolean is for booleans, true or false. Character is just for one character, but when you want to store more than one character, like that illustration I gave that has to do with creating a variable that stores the name of a person. And we know the name of a person can be more than one character. It can be maybe Stephen or Gift. So in that scenario, if I ask you, what would the data type be for that variable name? What will it be? Who can answer? What will it be?
I didn't get
Someone.
your question, sir.
All right. Looking at this, wait, wait. Looking at these data types here, I had a variable. Let's go back to all right, let's go back to this example that we gave here. I had a variable called name, and I asked you what data type will this store. You said it's going to be text. So what data type will I use for this variable name? Is it int?
String.
All right. Why is it string?
Because it contains more than one character.
Exactly. Thank you. Is anyone lost? The class is very quiet. I'm not seeing any comments, so I assume everyone is following. I can proceed, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
thank you. All right, thanks. So this isn't the only data type you will see, but these are the ones you would use all the time, right? There are other data types which, as time goes on, you come across, you get to see them. So the reason why I didn't introduce that here is so as not to bombard us with so many information and all. And also, this is a beginner's class, so I try my possible best not to bring so much information that would confuse us at the later. So when there is a need or when there is a reason to bring all those other data types, yeah, then we would look at them. But you can, that doesn't stop you from researching. You can actually research and check up all some other data types that are there are other data types, but these are the ones you use most of the time. Okay. All right, let's proceed. Defining variables. Great. So these are the steps you take, right, when trying to create a variable. So it follows a step, follows a procedure. So before you use a variable, you must declare it. And how do you declare? If someone asks you, declare a variable for me, what does it mean to declare a variable, right? What does it mean to declare a variable? Let's go to the whiteboard. So I will demonstrate that, what it means to declare a variable. So when they say declare a variable, right? Declaring a variable is simply giving the name of the variable. So say name, right? It doesn't end there. Two things are involved when declaring a variable: the name and the data type, which is always at the left-hand side of the variable name, which is what?
String.
String. That's all. Then what should be here finally? Who can tell me? C#
Equals to.
syntax. No. This
The
is
semicolon.
basically declare exactly. So like I said, every declarations, every statement you make must end with a semicolon, right? So when
Yes.
you are asked to declare a variable, this is very important, right? I don't want a scenario whereby we have gone far, and when I ask somebody, I have declared a variable, the person will be confused. So that's why I'm taking my time to explain this, because these are terminologies you would use as time goes on. So declaring a variable is the name and giving the data type for that particular variable, which is, in this case, is what? String. So what if it was age? It's going to be what?
Int.
Okay. Int what?
Int.
Age.
All right. Int age and
Semicolon.
semicolon and all. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So this tells the C# compiler I need a memory spot for a specific type of data, and I'm calling it this name. So declaring it is like telling the compiler, I go to a particular spot, create a portion or create a container for that data, and make sure that data has a type attached to that variable name. Okay. So the syntax, like I said, is what? Data type, variable name, semicolon. Then example, we can have int age, or which declares the integer variable name age, or string username, which declares the string value name, username, and all. So, and like I said, every statement must end with a semicolon, right? Any question?
No, sir.
All right, let's proceed. Now, initializing variables, declaring variable. They're two different things, all right? So let's go back to the whiteboard. So if I say declare a variable, it's simply giving it the name and the data type. But when I say initialize a variable, it means three things, which is what? The data type, right? The variable name and the value 29. Someone, you follow, right? You get it. So with
Come
this,
again.
all right, declaring a variable, two things that involve, which is what? The data type, give you the data type and the variable name, string name. But initializing a variable is what? Declaring and assigning a value to that variable. Do you
Yeah.
get? So you
Yes.
don't only declare, you go as far as giving it a value 29 or name 4. So by doing this is known as initializing, declaring and initializing, while having to do only int age is regarded as what? Declaring a variable only. But when they say initialize a variable, it means two things, which is what? Declare and
Okay.
initialize,
Yes,
which is
sir.
giving it a value. So just know the difference between the two. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Like I said, if you are confused in any way, just drop it in the comment and I would go by it again. All right, so these are the examples here we can see. Basically assigning values, initial values to the variable name, bool. So there are times whereby maybe it's logged in, like this is a boolean which is trying to tell, is this user logged in to the application or not? So an example is you build an application that whereby for users to access the features in the application, they have to be logged in, right? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Good. So in your code, there will be a part that will say, if this user is not logged in, don't show this feature to that user, right? So
Yes.
those conditional, they are variables that that are Boolean that you would need to know to tell if a particular user is logged in or not. So things like, is a user logged in or not? Or is this user male or female? Or is this user a footballer or is not a footballer? So all those are Boolean datas. So when we come across such, what comes the value, the kind of values that those data type will store is going to be either what? True or false, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm only hearing one person's voice. I hope everybody is following though.
Yes,
we are
sir.
following.
We are
All right, great. So, or you can declare it first and then assign a value later. Right, I'll explain that one when we go into the code. All right. Okay, variable range test. Variable range test. Now, let me go back to the whiteboard to explain this variable range test and delete all this coming. So what do I mean by variable range test? See a variable as I have this container, right? This is a container of different sizes. So I can have a container that is going to be larger, and I can have another container that is biggest, and or. So assuming that this is container A, or you can see it as variable A, then variable B, and variable C. So the size of variable A is let's call it 2 digits. Let's say 2 digits. 2 digits meaning it can be 1, 2, 4, 5. That it cannot be more than 2. And what do I mean more than 2? 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6. Do you get? That's
No.
what I'm using to determine the size. Okay. So assuming the size of this variable A can only hold 2 digits, which is can be 1, 2, or 6, 7, or 8, 9. Then the size of B can hold what? 3 digits, right? Which is it can hold what? 3 digits. Sorry about the writings. Then size of C, variable C, can hold what? 4 digits. So that variable range size is saying if, let's say, assuming we have int, this is int. We are going to do a small analogy and you guys will tell which to use. This is int, int, int. If my program, if my you are given a problem to calculate the addition of 21 and 41. Let's say write a program that calculates the addition of 21 and 41, right? Which of these variables will you use to hold this data? All right, let me come again. So it might be confusing. All right.
Yes.
All right. So I have this, I have variable A, which is what? Int A. Let's say I give it in value 1. Int value 1 equal to what? 21, right? Int value 1 equal to 21. Then int another value, what? Value 2 equals 41, right? Is it right to use this container to hold this value? And why? Is it confusing?
Yes, sir.
It's confusing.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Sorry, can you repeat the expression?
Okay. So initially I created 3 containers and I'm using 2 digits to determine their size. So for this container 1, I have 2 containers, container 1, container 2, container 3. The size of container 1 is 2 digits, 2 digits, right? Meaning it cannot be more than 2. So when I mean 2 digits, it means 41, 56, 44, 33. But when we have 412 or 611, 722, it means this will not be able to hold this kind of data because the size of this container is what? 2 digits. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying is in programming, right, data types, they vary with sizes, right? They vary with different sizes. So first thing is when you're giving a data type to a variable, the first thing is, does that data type store the kind of data, right? Let's assuming the value of a particular data is numbers. The data type you are using, is it going to be suitable for that whole number value you are trying to store, right? Then
Okay, sir.
secondly, the size of the container, can it hold the data? Can it actually hold the data? So what I mean is, fine, we have a value 21 and 41. Both are integers. right? And both are whole numbers, right? Good.
Yes.
It is right. It is right to use int because int deals with what? Whole numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, what is the size of that particular int you are using? What is the size of that particular int? Is it also capable of holding these 2 digits, which is 21 and 41?
Yes, sir.
It is capable, right? Because the size of this particular container is what? 2 digits,
2 digits.
right? That is
Yes.
why
Yes, sir.
we can go ahead to use this to hold these 2. But what
Yes, sir.
if I was given a program to calculate the addition of 412 and let's say 24. Let's say 412 and 24. Is it right to use this container to hold this value?
No, sir.
No.
Why?
Because it's
Okay.
3 digits.
Yeah, because this 2 digits is not, it's not like the size of these 2 digits, right? The size of this is not enough to hold these 3 digits. Do you get?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So that's what it means when they say variable range test. Everything you will see when we demo. So I just wanted to um present or explain that using that diagram so we all get the whole gist and all. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Let's proceed. Default values of variables. Default values of variables. So assuming default values of variables. So when I mean default values of variables, and you are asked to initialize, let me say, declare a variable. I have a variable called let's say age. And what's the data type of this age? Int. Let's assume I don't want to assign a value to this age, right? I don't want to assign a value to this age. C# comes with a default value. And if you have not assigned a value to this age, C# already comes with all these data types, they come with their respective data types, right? So for when using int or integer, right? Int, the data type, the default value of this data type int is what? 0. Meaning if you have not initialized this variable, age, its default value will be 0. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear? Is anyone confused?
But sir, I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, you are saying that default value, like in every variable in C# has their own default value. But when you run the program, if you have not maybe declare a value, initialize a value to the variable that you declared,
Mm.
are you going to see that default value, like when you run the program?
Yeah, if you test it out, let's say you initialize, let's say declared it int age, and you have not given it a value. If you want to
Yeah.
console this age, it's going to show 0, even when
Zero.
you have not assigned a value to the age,
Okay.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Rather than you getting like an undefined, rather than you getting age as undefined in your console, you'll be getting 0 instead. And this only happens for C#, right? Just C#.
You mean the default value of int?
Yeah, the default value.
Yeah, it's 0 exactly. So for string, string is going to be null. Don't worry, when we go into the demo, we'll just play around with all this. We would just remind, ask the same question again when we go into coding, okay? So that we just see it out and we console log to test it out, okay?
Okay. Hello, sir.
Yeah, Samuel.
Okay, I was raising up my hand the other time. I
Yeah,
think you didn't see.
sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, no problem. I think for the question that was asked, looking through um looking through um the LMS today, I discovered that this question is very like kind of a tricky at times. And I went on
Okay.
to do some research. I discovered that it depends on the environment we find ourselves, because there are
Okay.
some points that when we want to find the default value of some particular variable, it will tell us
Yeah.
some compile error, while at a particular
Yeah.
environment it will give us the default value. So it depends on the
Okay.
environment we find ourselves that the values will be given. That's
Okay.
what I used today. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll play around with all this when we do the demo. Okay. All right, thanks. Then Precious Steve, I saw your comment. Will string variable be initialized as string username exactly, or string username? No. Every string is enclosed in double quotes. So the difference between char and string is that for char it uses what? Single quote. While for string it uses double quote. So every string is enclosed in a double quote. Is that clear? Precious, are you there? Okay. All right. I think someone answered that already. Okay. What do you mean by environment? Don't C# have only .NET as its environment? Yeah, it's .NET is the environment, the ID for C# now. Environment is the IDE we are using to build our code and all.
Okay.
So
Sorry about
to the
using the
guy
word
that was saying depending
environment.
on the environment or something.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about using the word environment. Maybe it might sound
Yeah.
confusing. If I
Okay.
make use of the word I really want to make use of, some people might be asking, why did I say that? Okay, when I mean by environment, when we are running on a normal console at times, it will run the compile error. But when we are in a class field, like the one you mentioned the other day, like a class
Yeah.
field, using a normal class field, it's going to give us normal value as normal default value. But when we are not in those normal class field, it's not there are some that will throw those kind of errors. That's the reason why I use the word environment. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Don't worry, we'll go play out now with the demo. Don't worry. Okay. We'll test it out. Then we have Visual Studio Code, VS Code, right? Yeah, which is another environment. Yes, exactly. Umbra. Okay. So default values of variables, right? For int, double, float, decimal, default value is 0. Then for Boolean, right? Let's say assuming you have not assigned a value to that Boolean variable. By default, it's going to take false, right? Then for char, it's going to take the null character. Then for string, it's going to be null and all. We'll see all that as we progress, okay? All right, let's go into practice. Yep, practice. Okay. Is there any question before we proceed? All right, can you see my screen? The the Visual Studio, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, no problems. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I would create a new project for our practice. All right. Then console, like, I don't know, someone complained of not seeing console. Console, when you search for console, you see it, right? Console, a project for creating. This is the one you would see. But if you cannot see this, probably you didn't install, you come to install more tools and features. Probably you didn't add this to the things you need to install. which is it's loading. There are things you skipped that you didn't install, which is .NET Desktop development, right? You need to check this and install this, right? Then ESP.NET web development, just these two things you need, this and this. That's all. You just need only those two things you need. Then once you have done that and everything is working fine, you will see total space required is 0, right? But when you have checked it, I noticed, I think I had a call with someone earlier this morning, and the person has checked this and it's still showing total space required is 5 gig or so. That means your computer space is used up. So it will require you to maybe free up some space in order to accommodate for this other package. So you can just try that out. I hope it works. All right. So console app, this is what we will use for our practice. Give it console app 1 and store it in where we're going to store it. Store it here, then give it the name and C# practice. This directory is not practice 1, C# practice 1 and all, right? Okay, then .NET 8. All right, everything fine. No need to touch anything there and create. All right, so it's loading, it's creating the project. Hope we would finish with something. So let me delete this one. We don't need this now. Things will be starting. Who has heard of comments before? Comments in programming. If you have come across the term comment.
I.
All right. Okay. So basically, in programming, right, you are asked to maybe I give you a problem to calculate the area of a triangle, right? I give you a problem to calculate the area of a triangle on the code and all. But there is a possibility that in 10 years' time, you will come back to the code you wrote and you would forget what you did. That's possible, right?
Yes.
Great. So comment is a way to tell what that line of code is doing. It's something that when you run, it's a line of code that whenever you run your code, it's not going to execute that comment, right? There's a syntax for writing comment. So whenever you write a comment in your code and you run your code, C# or C# compiler is not going to compile the comment part. It's going to compile all the code that is not commented. Okay, right. So there are two ways to writing comments, right? The first way is using a double slash. Using a double slash, then you write what the code is doing. You can just say this code is performing addition, right? So this is how we write comments in
Hello,
C#.
sir. Your screen is just showing practice. It's not showing the visuals today again.
Are you serious? Okay, sorry, let me check it. Wow, I'm coming. Why is it not showing that? Okay. All right. All right. Let me go back to it. How about now?
Yes, we can see it.
That's it.
All right. So, like I said, this is how we write comments in C#. We start with a double slash. Let me got this. A double slash. Then we write what this line of code is actually doing, right? Or maybe if the statement requires 4 lines, you can actually come next and continue writing the long statement and all, right? Writing the long statement and all, okay? But This is the first way in writing, first way when writing comment. The second way is comes in handy when your comment requires multiple lines or multiple lines and all. Meaning for this scenario whereby we have just 3 lines, if we were using just 1 line, right, you can use just this, they call this single line comment when we have this 2/ and a comment. But when your comment would have multiple lines, this is how we represent that. We use this instead, a slash, then a star, and a slash. So in between this, we can decide to write what we want to write, and maybe if it requires another line, we continue writing, and that's just all and all. Someone confused?
No, sir.
You're confused?
No.
Okay. All right. So let's make use of this single line comment for now. Okay. We're going to make use of this single line comment for now. So what we want to do now is we want to see the practical aspect of declaring and initializing variables, right? Declaring and initializing. See, the beauty of IntelliSense and all is that you don't need to type, let's say, assuming you're trying to type in initialize and you type in the first 3 letters, it would automatically show you suggestions for you to complete the remaining without you stressing yourself typing it in full. Do you get? So,
Yes, sir.
so declaring and initializing variables. So declaring a variable is just simply, let's say I want to create a variable to store the age of a person. Declare a variable that stores the age of a person. It's going to be what? What will it be?
String.
The age of a person, the age of
Oh, sorry,
a
int.
citizen. Okay, int, then age, right?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
So int age stores the name of the person. So when I say declare and initialize, what do I mean? It means it's going to be what?
Equals to.
All right, equal to what? Maybe 21,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
int age is what? 21, meaning this variable is storing what? The age of this person, which is 21. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Then if I want to store the username of Precious, what will it be?
String name
All right, string name.
equals
I
to.
think, let's see, let me see if I can actually do this. Hold on, I'm coming. I need to this. I'm coming. Windows view. Dun, 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 dun. I'm coming. All right, let's proceed. I can't see that option here. Let's proceed. So it's going to be what? String
Name.
username, right? Sorry. String name, right?
Yes.
Equal to what?
The person's name.
Which is maybe Precious C, right?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Semicolon.
all right, semicolon, exactly. Now, you are asked to write a program that will do what? That would store the name of a school, right? Let's say you are asked to write a program that what will store the name of a school, right? Create a variable that will store the name of a school, right?
Yes.
So how is it going to be? It's going to be what? I'm going to write 3 things, which does this variable, and you'll be the one to select, and you tell me why you selected that. Okay? So I'm going to create 2 or 3 variables that is actually going to perform the same thing, but there will be a difference, and you have to tell me. First, I'm going to ask you to choose which variable name is best and your reasons for it. Okay. So first variable name is string name of school, NOS, equal to school, SCH, school of children, 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 school of children, semicolon. So let me copy this and paste it. All right, so I have the first variable, name of school. That's the meaning of the NOS. So I have another one, name, right? Name, or okay, name equal to this, right? And the final one is what? Name of school equal to this, right? Let me still bring in more. I'm heading somewhere. School name. Okay. All right. So I have another. If you check now, I'm having red here.
Yes.
Another thing you should learn to do is your ability to read. Check why whenever you see red, this red line here, it means there is a compile error that needs to be fixed. Okay, there's a compile error that needs to be fixed. So you need to be able to read to know why we're having that. Okay, so if you check now, whenever you write and you see a red line or you hover on it to check why it's actually appearing red and all. So if you hover on it, you see a local variable or function named name is already defined
Already defined.
in this scope. So it's telling you that there was a name that was declared before. So I cannot redeclare using that same variable name. So meaning a variable cannot be declared twice. Like this variable name, you cannot declare it again, meaning declare initialize, meaning the first one was string name equals to precious C. And let's say, assuming you want to still use this variable name again for another value equal to Steven. Steven is not going to work because in C# you cannot redeclare using the previous variable name. Is it confusing?
No.
We are good, right?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, my question is, supposing, because when you were trying to declare that name,
Yes.
variable precious C, you called username, but on typing you typed name. So supposing we have a username there instead,
All right, suppose.
will it still flag red down?
Okay, supposing we had username here.
Exactly. And is it possible to have 2 usernames?
If it's possible, it's
To
not
us.
possible to have 2 variables of the same name.
Okay.
It's
So
going to
supposing we
flag an
have
error.
more users.
Okay, if we had more users, right?
Yes,
And we want
yes.
to represent them using the same variable name,
Exactly.
we can do that by just saying, let's say the first user is string username equals to precious 1. Let's say I want to store another username, right? I can actually use this. And since I cannot use the same username, I can just put 2.
Thank
This
you.
is
Thank you.
different from this because of the 2. Like, English now, they say, is this the same thing with this? No, because of these 2 here. You get, right?
Okay.
Okay, Duncan, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask them, why is there a green line under your variable names? Is that a
Don't
bad
worry,
thing?
it's not a bad thing. Yeah, we have not gotten to that stage. That's why I'm trying not to explain that, but I will explain that as time goes on, right? But it's not,
Okay,
it's
sir.
like a warning, C# warning. It's not an error, it's just a warning. It's one concept on its own. So when I reach that concept, then I'll explain the green lines and all. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. But when you see a red line, that is a compile error that needs to be fixed immediately. All right. So I have NOS, which stands for name of school, name, school of children, name of school, school of children. Let me continue typing another one so that this. Then you will tell me I have this other one, name of school. All right. Name of school, one name of school. All right. One name of school. All right. Think that is fine. It's not going to even allow that safe. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. That's fine. So when giving names to variables, right? Okay, first, before I go there, I want to ask now, all of them, they are valid, right? But if I want to ask, choose your preferred or your best variable name, which will you go for?
The
Right?
third one.
The third one, right? Name of school. Okay, Samuel.
Yeah, I was about saying the third one as well.
Okay.
So I think the second one.
The second one. Okay. The second one, right? All right, all right, all right, all right. Now, the reason why I would not go for the first one, right? Okay, who can tell me why you didn't choose the first one? NOS. NOS is name of school now, school of children. So why didn't you why didn't you go for NOS? Okay, Marian, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. No, Marian, I think, is this Marian?
Marian.
Marian,
No,
sorry, Marian. Yeah, Marian raised her hand. Go ahead.
Okay, the first one cannot go because when declaring a variable, you need to use a meaningful name.
Exactly. You need to use a meaningful name. And why do you need to use a meaningful name is because you wrote the code. Definitely, you are the one that wrote this code. You know what NOS means. But when someone else is trying to read your code, is it going to be possible for the person to know what NOS stands for? Is it
No,
possible?
no.
Right? So as programmers, the goal, right, when writing code is, first of all, we write to make sure it works. Then, secondly, we have to write to make sure that it is readable, meaning when someone else goes through your code, the person should be able to understand your code and know what it's actually doing. So whatever you do shouldn't be for only you. It should be readable because definitely someone else is going to go through your code and it will be unfair if you write the code that only you would understand. It doesn't make sense. Okay? All right. So there are different ways in declaring variables, right? There are different variable namings. So we have the Pascal case, right? We have the Pascal case. We have the camel case. We have the snake case, right? We have the Pascal case, we have the camel case, and we have the snake case. So for the camel case, right? For the camel case is just basically this string username equal to precious C. Pascal case means the first letter of the variable name will start with what? A capital letter. Do you get? So there are different
Yes.
naming conventions, right? Or let's assume you are trying to store maybe name of school, like maybe the hen. This is also is this a Pascal case or a Scamel or snake case? This line 17,
It's Pascal's case.
because it started with capital letter, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Then for camel case is what? Basically a variable name that started with what? Small letter, right? Which is this. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Then snake case is the underscore, right? The underscore as we see here, user underscore names. So all these are valid names, right? All these are valid names, right? They are valid names. So in programming, right, you shouldn't start your variable name with a number. So what do I mean by number? Maybe you want to create a variable name called age. Let's say a string age. You shouldn't do this one age equal to 54 with bad naming, right? Invalid variable name cannot start with a number. Are we good? So just take note of that.
Yes, sir.
If I see that in your assignment, I'll flog you. Just letting you know now. Okay. All right, let's proceed. So declaring and initializing variable is assigning values to this variable age, right? Now, what does it mean to what does it mean to let me close this. Let me close this. Now, mind you, if you want to test this out, I'll remove this. Sorry. Let's use just one namings. If I want to test this out in the console, let's say I want to test out age to print in the console, what do I do? Who can remember?
Console dot right line
Okay, console dot write line. All right, then what am I going to pass in here?
age.
Age. All right. So what will this print if I run this program?
It will print the age 21.
Okay, I hope everyone is following. I'm hearing only one person. Please though, if you are lost, please, like I would go over it again. Okay. And if you need special class, I'm always available if you are shy. All right. Okay. So if I run this, what's it going to print? It's going to print what? It's running now. It's going to print the age, which is going to be what? 21. Can we see the console?
It's
Are we
still
able to
coming
see
up.
the console? Okay, wait. It's actually showing. And let me hold on. Let me see if I can do this. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Okay. All right. Can we see this?
Yes, sir.
21, right?
Yes, sir.
Great. So it gave us that. All right. What if I want to console log
I have a question.
all right, go ahead, Gift.
Why don't we
Okay.
have, oh, okay.
No,
Go ahead.
okay. What I wanted to ask is that, like, you just write console dot write line age.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's supposed to have like console.readline.
What is console
What
log read
is
line? Have I talked about read line before?
I'm just I don't know, I'm just surprised
Last
saying that it
class,
will not
last
disappear with that.
okay, last class I said if we want to test it out, we want to see our outputs. What do we use? Console dot write line. If you remember
Yes.
in our last class last week,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
So yeah, there's console dot read line. That is also part. That's console dot write line, console read line. I'll teach that next week, right? So it's important
Yes.
we know about that. But for now, since we have not gone into that read line aspect, if we want to print the output this so we can see clearly in the console, we use console dot write line. So we see if it's working fine. So assuming the reason for this is, what if I console write line this and I saw 28 instead of 21? What does that mean? It means there's something wrong with my code and it will require me to go and fix it. So
Yes.
by me consoling this and I'm seeing 21 and 21, it means what I'm seeing is the expected output, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's proceed.
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I noticed our result was shown in our command line, or but
Yes.
don't we have a terminal here where the result can also show?
That is JavaScript. This is C# IDE, Visual Studio IDE.
Okay, my question, it doesn't have a terminal.
Yeah, there is a terminal we use. Yeah, there's a terminal in Visual Studio. Yes, and we use that for installing packages, maybe GitHub setup and the likes. But when we want to print the output, right? This is our console. The terminal is different from the console, right? The console is to see what is actually going on because we are using console, which is a class, right? Console.writeLine. This is telling C# compiler to print the result of everything that is within this bracket, right? It's different from, I know you've used Visual
Thank you.
VS Code. So VS Code, you use the terminal to see your output and all, but here we use that console, right? For that. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you still not clear? Can you hear me? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's proceed. We have a lot to cover. So I want to introduce you guys to another terminology that says reassignment. Reassignment. So what does reassignment mean? What does it mean to reassign a variable? What does it mean? Right? What does it mean to reassign a variable? So it means if you check up now, we declared and initialized what age equal to 21, right? And it said that we cannot redeclare using the same variable name that was declared before, right? Right?
Yes.
But we can actually reassign a value to that variable name that was declared previously. And what does reassignment means? Reassignment means I don't need to call the int again. All I just need is to do is to call the variable that was declared before, which was age, and give it a different value, 54. That's all. That's what it means to reassign. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Hope we are all following.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are following, sir.
All right, thank you. So now let's go over to the default values, right? When I talked about if we don't assign values, right? We don't assign a value to age, what is it going to be? So let's default values, right? Default values and all. So assuming I have a variable name called price, int price, right? I don't want to I don't want to assign a value to this. What will be the default value of this price since I've not assigned a value to it? Let's console log it.
Zero.
Console I've been using I usually use JavaScript in my front end, so I've been talking console log every time. Console.writeLine what price, right? Console.writeLine price. So if I run it, what will happen? Let me comment this because I don't want this to execute. What happens? There will build errors. Would you like to continue and run it? No. Let's fix it. So this is the error. And what does it say? It said use of unassigned local variable price. So before now, like when I started in C#, that was 2021. Yeah, when I started programming and all. This was allowed, right? You can actually declare and not assign, right? And if you want to print the results, you can go ahead and do this and it's going to show you the default value. But currently, this isn't allowed, right? So if you want to console write line this to know the default value, all you just need to do is just to assign it what there is a keyword. I have not talked about keyword. Keywords are reserved namings, right? They are reserved names in C#. You cannot use your variable name that is a keyword. So what I mean is this. Int is a keyword in C# because it's a data type, right? String is a keyword. And keyword means reserved names for C#, right? Are
Yes.
we good? So these keywords, we cannot do this. It's not allowed to do this. String int equal to 7. Why do you think we are having a red line here?
Because we have two different data types.
Because we used, yeah, exactly. Because we used two data types, and also this int is a reserved name in C#, right?
Yes.
So it is not allowed to use a variable name that is a reserved name in C#. That is why we are having this error. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's take note of that. All right. Okay. So in price equal to, because I don't want to give it any value, there is a keyword called default, right? So for every variable you create, if you don't want to assign the value of your choice, you can just assign it default. So this default will go into the data type int and print the default value for int. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
All right. I hope it's not only everybody respond now. Let me know it's not only I'm talking to everybody and not just one person.
Understood, sir.
Yes, sir, we get it.
Okay, all right. So
If we keep responding to you, there will be noise at the background.
okay.
Yeah.
I understand. So
Let us
like
know
I
we are
said,
with you.
if you are confused, just write it in a comment, please. Thank you. So console line price. So if we run this now, we should see this. What do we see?
0.
0, right? Are we following?
Yes, sir.
So 0 is the default value for price. Now, what is the default value for, let's say I have string location, let's say weight of this string location equal to default, right? String location equal to default console write line price, okay? And I want to print out the location and all. What do you think this is going to be? What will be the default value for location?
No.
Let's run it.
Empty.
All right, no, that's nothing. That's why we are not seeing anything. No means nothing. There is nothing. Okay,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Good. What if let's talk about Boolean. Bool, then is this user logged in? Is logged in, which is what, true or false? But I want to get the default value of this Boolean. So what would the default value be? Who remembers? What was there in the slide?
False.
All right,
False.
so if you console write this, we should be expecting false by default. False, right?
Yes.
So we all get the flow now, Shebi?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, moving over to let's move over to the variable range test. Variable range test, right? So when I mean variable range test now, it's what comes to your mind, the size of the data type you want to use to store a particular data, right? So I don't know, who has anyone downloaded the knackoff C# textbook? I know I posted that in the channel. Have you all downloaded
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I hope everyone has downloaded that. Let me open it. So I'll show you the table that contains the list of all the data types in that textbook. I'm coming. Right. Download. Fundamentals of computer programming. Shared this window away. Okay. All right, I'm coming. Okay. Right, can we all see my screen? This,
So we are not seeing the white. Okay. Yes.
you can see this, right? All right, so let's go over to primitive types and variables. So this table now contains all the data types we have in C#, which I will not be touching until there is a need to, but you can just go ahead to explore and know how it works. So here we have the int. So this minimum value and the maximum value, this is talking about for the minimum value, what is the size of this data type in the negative, right? Where is it going to stop? And maximum has to do with the positive. What is the capacity of the data type? How much is this going to store for this particular data type, right? So for the maximum value, we can have digits. You know, in that example, I was just dealing with 2 digits just to explain what I was saying, right? But in the real sense, the size of the integer data type is over 214, 748, 3647 and all, right? Are we good?
Sorry. No. No.
Hmm?
Explain. Come again.
All right. This is the size of this 214, 748. This is the size of the integer data type. Every data type has their minimum and maximum size and all, in the negative and in the positive. This table contains the default value for each of the data types, which you have seen when I tested them out. While this column contains the minimum value, meaning, for example, the minimum value for bytes data type is 0, meaning we cannot have -1, -2. It cannot accept values or data that is less than what? 0. That's what it means. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Right? So when they say the size of this byte has a minimum value of 0, means we cannot see negative for this byte. It cannot be less than 0. And maximum value, which is 255, means it cannot be more than 255. It can only store values from 0 to 255. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Why for S bytes data type, it can store values from -128 to 127, which is positive. So if I ask now, can S byte store -130? Will you be
No,
able
sir.
to store
No.
-130?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Because it is out of the range, right?
Yes, sir.
Great. Same thing for short. So short now, S byte, byte, short, U short. If you see it int, U int, long, U long. Who can tell me the similarities from this S byte to the U long? What's the similarity? One similarity. Hmm? What's
The
the
minimum.
similarity? Yeah, anyone. What's the similarity between from this S byte? This is a hierarchical table. Yeah, from the list is S byte, the highest is string, right? So S byte to S byte, byte, short, U short, int, up to U long.
Okay.
What is the
Store input. Yeah.
similarity? Right, it's storing whole numbers or integers,
Oh,
whole
no.
numbers. Do you get? That's why you don't see a decimal there, just whole numbers and all, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Then for decimal, when you are talking about decimal, then we'll be calling what? Float, double,
Double.
decimal, because of this decimal here, right? Then Boolean, true or false, and like that, like that. Are we good? So let's do small practice. Let's do small practical now.
Please,
So,
before you leave here,
okay,
can you explain this chart?
all right. The
And
chart
I
now,
want to even understand because I know of VAR, VAR. Is it
but
not
there's a reason I don't want to talk about the VAR for now. I have a
okay?
reason
But are
for
we
that.
using it in C sharp?
Would yes, yes, very yeah, there are reasons for using that, but I
Okay,
didn't want
okay,
to bring that in now.
it's okay. But please
Yeah.
explain this chart. Let me understand because I don't understand these values I'm seeing here.
All right. So chars are basically Unicodes. They call them these are Unicode characters that represent one character, right? So I think let me go to where is this? So the Unicode table. So we see what that means. Unicode, I think it should be this Unicode, Unicode, Unicode. So we just explain that. So it's Unicode. Hold on, coming. Unicode. Unicode symbols, characters. Okay, let's try Unicode characters. So we just bam, 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 bam. All right, Unicode characters. Okay, hope this gives us what we want. So, yeah, bum, 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 bum. All right, so this is the character, right? Like I said, the character contains just one character, right? those values, those characters you see there, they call them the Unicode, which is representing just one character. Do you get? Or you can decide to use this, which if you use this, they call them the Unicode, representing just this one character, right? So let's do this. I'm going to use this in my code. Let's go back to the code first. Let's say, assuming I have, right? Hope you are with me. Let's say I have SHA. We know there's a data type called SHA, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. SHA. Let's say SHA letter equal to, who is writing on my screen? Okay, behave. I want to write this now. This, if I print this out, is actually going to print the real character of this variable. This is the Unicode representation. And for any Unicode representation, if you want to write it, we just use a slash. This is escape, like slash. We use this slash, // then to be able to write the Unicode value of this character, right? Let me go back to the table first so that we explain, see what that means. SHA accepts one character, which is the and or full stop, right? So if I want to print out or test out this full stop, I can actually go ahead to write full stop, or I do this. Okay.
Now this is confusing.
That's why I didn't want to go over to this Unicode stuff for now. All right. Okay, let's do this now. Let's do this. Let me copy each of these characters first. Let's copy each of them. So we explain that. Hold on. Copy. Copy. So I have 5 letters or 5 characters. Letter 1, letter 2, letter 3, letter 4, letter 5, letter 6, right? For that and, I can actually do this. Where's the and? I can do this, right? If I really want to print just one character, let me comment out all this. I can do this, right? This is just an. Shay? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Right. Okay, now let's console log that and see what it will give us. Console write line, letter 1. So we console log, console write line that. What will it give us? Let's see what it's going to give us. So it's going to give us an, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. It's either we do it this way, or there are times when there are symbols that we don't have all the symbols in our keyboard. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So there are times when we don't have a particular symbol in our keyboard and we want a particular symbol. So those symbols can be seen in the Unicode table. It's universal, right? So that contains all the symbols that cannot be seen using our keyboard, right? So let me just still use that same, let's use the same stuff here. Escape U0026. We still represent the and. So I'm going to print that out first. 2. So let me print that out. I did the same.
Yes, sir.
Good. So the reason for this is, in your keyboard, can you see this symbol?
No.
Can you see this symbol or the symbols?
No.
Good. So what do you do if you cannot see that symbol? You go ahead to use this that represent that symbol, right?
Okay, sir.
Right. So it's more like forget this. I know what's confusing you is that we are having more than one characters here. But whenever you see this forward slash and a character, it's telling you that all these are escape sequence, right? Escape sequence that represent just one character. And it comes in handy when you don't have all the symbols in your keyboard. Let's say you want to use P, like assuming this P, right? There's no P in my keyboard. I can actually copy this Unicode character, then come to my code and put it here, right? Once I do that and I run it, it's going to give me that symbol P. Let's run it. It's giving me question mark instead. But we all get the flow now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So why the question mark instead of the symbol P?
All right, let's check that. #2117, #2117. Supposed to give P. Maybe you can go and check that out. Let's try this UFSE. Let's see whether it's a default something. That's intellectual property codes. So let's try that out first. All right. So it's giving me R. So I can leave that to you to go and investigate why we are having R and instead of the P. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Or maybe it's because of the property codes and all. Let's try this one first. Let's see if it's the current. Let's see the currency codes and see what it's going to give. I say testing it out, it tends to see what is actually showing. And okay, it's giving us the dollar. So probably, maybe it doesn't work for the intellectual property codes. There are other ways to it now, right? Can just
Yes.
test them out. But what I'm saying is there are some characters that we don't have everything in the keyboard and we need to use them. So we just come to the Unicode table that contains this Unicode character table that contain all the character that we use and just get the Unicode value for the character that represents that one character. Right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's proceed. I've not confused anyone. No. Okay. So let's go back to our textbook. Now, what is the highest value for integer int? What's the highest value? This, right?
Yes.
This. Okay. So let me copy that first. So assuming I have a variable for what? Int what? Value equal to this. I want to print this. Now it's assumed that the capacity of this integer, right? The highest is what? 21474834647, right? Let me print this out first. Console. I'm still using console.log. Right line, right value, right? Console.write line. Great. If I console this, what will I get? I'll get the value 214748, which is the same. Now, I said the capacity of this int data type ranges from what? Minus 214748 to this, right? So what happens if I try to store something higher than this? Let me add a 8, right? Should I go ahead and add 8? Maybe change the 7 to 8 and see what will happen, right?
Okay, sir.
Right. So what if I had something that is higher than the capacity? See, what C# is already flagging, saying cannot implicitly convert from type uint to int. So this means, don't worry, we have not we have not reached this stuff. So what it's saying is that I can't, before now, when you do this and you run it, it's going to say, it's going to print a value that doesn't make sense. Yeah. But now I think the C# they have worked on some features whereby you try to do things that doesn't work, it would throw a compile error and all. So the reason for this red is saying this is higher than the integer data type capacity, meaning you cannot store values above this capacity, as you see here. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Now the question is, I want to be able to store values that is higher than this capacity. What do I do? That is where uint comes in, right?
Yes, sir.
uint has a higher capacity than int. Int has a higher capacity than ushort. Ushort has a higher capacity than short. Short has a higher capacity than byte, like that, like that. So it increases from here downward. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
All right. So there are scenario whereby I want to use a data type that will be able to store, that has a higher capacity to store a particular value. If the int doesn't have that capacity, I should go ahead to use what? uint. And what if uint cannot store that? I'll go ahead to use long or ulong. As you can see now, you see ulong now has, it's impossible for you to exceed this capacity because the values is extremely large and all. Are we all following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. All right. Any question before I proceed? Don't worry, we'll soon finish.
So my question is this float, double, and decimal.
Okay. Let's go over to this float, double, and decimal. So float is the float, the double, decimal. You see the same way with the int, uint, but the difference is the decimal, right? I know what is confusing you is this 1.5 times 10 to power minus 45 for some of us that are not mathematician, right?
Okay.
So what this means, right? What this means, for the float where we have, it ranges from plus minus 1.5 times 10. So this means, where is, let me try and get, I can do this, all right? Hold on, I'm coming. Let me open my notes. Okay, I can actually do this. I'm coming, guys. Can we all see my screen? Let's hold on. Can we see my screen?
So we are still seeing the data types.
All right, I'm coming. Yeah, hold on. Okay, all right. Let's share my screen now. Sticky notes. Okay. We can see this, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this statement now, let's go back to this, what it means to have this. It ranges from this to this. Right. Let's go to the code. Ranges from this to this. So it means this 1.5. When you see 1.5 times 10 to power minus 45, oh, don't mind this. I don't know, the sticky notes didn't put this one at the top. So this means 10 to power minus 45, right? So what it means is it ranges from plus or minus. When you say plus or minus, it means we can have plus this or minus this. So meaning we can have 0.00000000000. This will be 45 times. Then at the end, 10. I'll be 1.1.5, right? So we can have this plus this, or we can have this. It's going to confuse you if you have not done mathematics before, Sha. So it might confuse you. We can have, it ranges from this
Yes.
to this times 10 to power 38. So this 10 to power 38 is just 3.4000000 up to 38 times. So we can have this, or we can have this, or this. It's going to confuse some people here. Don't they go
Very confusing.
mathematics? Eh?
It's confusing.
Yeah, because of the small mathematics, yeah. But this is saying is okay. For the float, right? It ranges from 1.5. Let's leave the plus minus for now. It's just small mathematics, yeah. 1.5 to 3.4, right? Just
Yes.
note that. Maybe just remind me, we can have a special class to explain this part. Yeah, it's just small mathematics, it's not that hard. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Just remind me, we can have the class in the evening also.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the goal is to understand every detail and all, because we are laying the foundation, so we need to understand every detail. And yeah. All right, we can proceed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have this error because it's higher than the capacity, and because it's higher and I want to use this value, I can go ahead to use uint, which would allow it, and the error has gone because uint has a higher capacity to hold this value than int data type. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Who is tired? Is anyone tired? Don't worry,
No,
we'll
sir.
soon
Go ahead.
end. All right, we'll soon end. We'll soon end. All right. Then I think this is where we'll end. Finally, one important thing is this. You know, let me go back to the whiteboard. Right? Let's go back to the whiteboard and do something. Let's go back to the whiteboard and do this. All right, let's go to the whiteboard. Now, what example am I going to use? All right. I have 3 containers. This is container 1. Let me try it this way. This container 1. This container 2. This container 3. And this container 4. Right? I have 4 containers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 containers. Now, in programming, right? Space, when you creating variables, right? When you are trying to allocate space to store information, allocating a space is expensive. Yeah, because when I talk about expensive, I mean it's unnecessary to create a very big space. It doesn't make sense creating a very big space that will just store just small information. What I mean is this: I have 4 containers. 1, 2, 3, 4. The largest container is 4, and the least container is 1, right? if I have an information that just needs, let's say the size of this, is um 2 meters, right? The size of this is 4 meters. The size of this is 7 meters. The size of this is 10 meters, right? Are we all following?
Yes, sir.
Good. If I have an information, if I want to store an information that is within 1 meter, it's possible to store it here, and it's also possible to store it here, and it's also possible to store it here, and it's also possible to store it here, right?
Yes.
Good. Now, that 1 meter, right? If I decide to store it here, it's like saying, it's like, let's say it's taking this portion for storing that information, right? Why
Yes.
this will be wasted?
Yes.
Good. Let's assume I want to use this container to store that information. How is it going to look like? We have 4M. So imagine the 4M as this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this 1M is just this particular portion, right? While
Yeah.
this is wasted because it's actually not storing anything, right?
Yes.
Now imagine same thing applies here. You can have this, this, 4, 5, 6, 7. This 1M is just here. Then what happens to this order? They are wasting, right? Now, why am I talking about this? Is because in programming, we try as much as possible not to use a data type that is large enough to store an information that just requires small size. I don't know if you get. So meaning,
Yes.
if we go to the table now, let's go to the table, the C#, the data type now. S byte runs from what? -128 to 127, right?
Yes.
Now, if I want to store the number of months in a year, if I want to store the number of months in a year, is it possible for the number of months to exceed 12?
Sorry. Come again,
Like
sir.
I want to store the number of, like this is what I mean, right? Int number of months equal to 12, right? Let's say I want to store, I have a variable name called number of months equal to 12, right? Is it possible for this to exceed 12?
No.
In real sense, can that be possible?
No.
Why? Because we have 12 months, right?
Months.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Now, if you look at this now, this is, let me do this way so that we all get the flow. All right, I'm coming. All right, number of months equals to 12. Looking at this now and looking at the data types here, which one is best? See now, I'm using int, and int has what? A very high capacity of what? 2,214,708. Why this is lesser? Which do you think is the best data type to use to represent, to store this number of months?
S bytes.
S bytes.
Yes.
Why?
Because
Because
if you are
I
using
had
the number, we have just 127 maximum numbers, so we can at least still use that space, and we won't waste too much of memory
So
space in.
much. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Hope we all get the flow now.
Yes, sir.
Good. So the reason for all this is because all this contributes to your program not performing well, if you have used some application where maybe you try to run an application, maybe Slack or your Chrome browser, you notice it's taking so much time to load. Your desktop application is taking much time to load. All these things contribute to those percentage, those performance issue. It's because the programmer decided to use a very large container that just want to store very small information. Hope we all get the flow now, right?
Yes.
Great. So that's what I wanted to explain. So I think we are done for today's class, right? So is there any question? On Thursday, we'll go over to the implicit casting to know what that's all about. Then if and else statement, how to write statements, and then operators, the plus, minus, division, modules, and all. So we'll learn about that on Thursday, right? So is there any question before I do the last thing? Okay. Marianne, sorry, I didn't pronounce your name. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, when you now want to do calculation, how will you now know the data type to use that will contain
Exactly.
the results, something like that?
All right. So good question. Good question. So I have this now. Let's say I'm asked to write a program that will calculate. Now, I don't know the result of what the value would contain, right? Let's say I'm asked to calculate the addition of two numbers, right? Let's say the first number is what? Let's say first number is int int value 1 equal to 450, right? Then int value 2 equal to 434, right? Let's say I'm using this. Let me use this for instance. Let's use 122, 119. And from this now we know I can actually use S byte to represent this, right? S bytes to represent this. S byte to represent. I can use this to represent this. Now, I have the problem here is now I need to write a program that adds two numbers, value 1 and value 2. I need a third variable called what? Let's say S byte result, which will be what? Value 1. I've not gone into operators. That's why I tried not to do this so as not to overcomplicate things. All right. Value 1 plus value 2. Now, it's flagging me error. Who can tell me why?
Because sorry, okay.
That is
Because
because the size
the
of the S byte cannot occupy the actual value, the total sum of both the value
Exactly.
1 and value 2.
Exactly. So the thing is, when you are trying to solve operations like this, right, and you are not sure of you are very sure that it's going to exceed this. So this is when you probably use int, right? You can use int when you are not sure of the values the user is going to provide, right? You can actually use you can use uint long, ulong, or any of them if you are not sure, if you are not sure of the value. But if you are very sure, then use, maybe you are sure that this is going to fall within 65,535, you can use u short. But if you are not sure, which most cases I've not seen, I've not done calculation that exceeded this int per se of 214,748,3647. So I usually use int when affirming my result and all, which is this, right? But when you are very sure of the value, yes. But results like this, you can use int if you're not sure. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Deligwe, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yes, so I see that the purpose of having all this data type is to like manage your storage as a developer. I feel so. But is there, and I also know that the whole declaring variable and all, like it allocates spaces for the
Yes.
for the, should I say variable? Yeah, for the data kind of. So is there a case where you've written so much program that your storage will full? And what kind of storage? Is it like the storage of the system? Like maybe you have 8 gig, 256 SSD space on your system. Is that the storage that it's really referring to, or is it just something else?
All right. So that is actually the, we talk about the RAM for your particular computer, right? The RAM for your particular computer, not necessarily the programs you have written, right? It's the RAM that's pertaining to your computer. If it's large enough, we have actually written the code, but what will tell if there is an overflow and all is the RAM of your computer. If it has used up the available space that we need to store some informations when you run a particular application. Okay, take for instance, WhatsApp application. There's WhatsApp application, right? When you run it, it comes with some variables inside that would need to be stored in your RAM in your computer. But when you use your computer to open a Facebook application, use it to open um, Google, and use it to open VS Code and all, you notice that the more programs you open, the more you are consuming, like the more space you're actually using. Do you get? So it's actually your RAM that would tell, not the program. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah, then for this data type, right? The data type is just basically the data type is more like the container that is storing the data, right? It's the container that you are, the particular data type you're using to store that the value for that data. So there are two different things, I say. But everything will become clear as we progress and all. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any question?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir. My question is that, in data type we have double, decimal, floats.
Yeah.
What is the difference between, like now, decimal, both decimal, float, they are somehow related, those are related.
Yes.
So what is the difference, or what is the reason why they
Okay.
use float or decimal in some places? There are some data type you can't use a float for them. You need to use decimal, and there are some that you
Okay.
can use it for both of them. So it is supposed to put
Okay.
more light about those data
All
types.
right. So the difference is the size. The float is the least decimal number type. The highest is decimal, right? Decimal data type. So difference is just the size. So it's always advised, especially when building applications in the bank for bank, right? When no banks now, their figures are so extremely
So
large.
like decimal cobbles are
Yeah,
large.
you use decimal
Okay.
for such calculations. It's advised for any banking calculation and all that you for sure Not this politician when they call 5 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion. Decimal
Yes.
can hold that. Why float is the least when you are sure that maybe the calculation you are or a program you are writing, you know for sure that float can hold it. You go ahead and use float or double
Okay, sir.
or decimal. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Like now, from what you said, that means decimal is well
Very
advisable to be used in any
for
programming
banking,
for
let's
banking.
say yeah, it's advised to use
Or
this.
when you are designing anything, calculator, anything that is calculating
Yes.
variable. Okay, sir.
Decimal
Thank you.
or double. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. So if there is no question, I want to show you guys, guide you on how you have seen the tax, right? Your tax
Yes, sir.
2. Okay. Let me go over to it first to explain that part. Hold on. Let me go back to the tax. All right. So I have this. Are we still having issues with the Visual Studio setting up it? Can you hear me? Who else is having issues or challenge with setting up the Visual Studio? All right, so no one. Okay, so for some of us that would have issue with that, or let's assume there's no one that have issue with that, right? We all know what a zip folder is, right? If you've gone through the tax and the guidelines
Yep.
on submission, attempt the tax using the Visual IDE, separating each tax with column with comments. So when I mean separating each tax with comments, I mean this. So maybe you have comment, maybe tax 1, you write the code, then tax 2, you write the code. That's what I mean by separating each tax with comment, okay? Then once you are done, convert the folder into a zip folder. We all know how to do that, right? So let's say I've saved this and I want to go to the file explorer that has this, right? Let me go there. Let's check here, C# practice. So KodeCamp. Right. Can you guys see my file explorer? Can you see my
No.
file explorer? Okay, no,
No.
You can
I'm coming.
yes, sir.
All right, hold on, I'm coming. All right. Let's see. Let me check. I think this should be it. All right. Can you see it now? This is my file explorer, right? So assuming this is the folder that has the code or the assignment, and I want to zip, I could just right click. You right click, then go to compress to zip file. So compress to zip file is going to, you give it a name, maybe 3. It's going to compress it for you. So it is this zip file you're going to upload on your drive. We all know how to do that now. Let me know.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I don't need to repeat that. Okay, fine. Then for those that are having issues with Visual Studio, right, you can actually create a Replit account, right? So just if you are stuck anywhere, just reach out to me on the channel and I'll guide you on that, right? I don't want to do all this here since we are done with class. But if you are stuck in any of them, just reach out to me and I'll guide you on that. So we have over 25. So the goal is not to punish you and all, it's just to make sure you are really grounded in variables and all. This tax here covers today's topic, today's lesson, and on Thursday's lesson, right? So just attempt the one you know you can. Then on Thursday we'll cover the rest. Yes. All right. So any question before we
Hello,
wrap
sir.
up? Yeah,
Good
go
evening.
ahead. Good evening.
Yes, I already dropped a message in the Discord server about struggling with the checklist. I've checked everything, but I don't know. It's still not.
Okay. I get. So don't worry, after this class now, I would chat you up on the Discord. No. Once we are done with the class, so I'll just show you how to go about that. All right. There is no question. Thank you
Okay.
all.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
As regarding the taxes, the tax, we want to ask if there will be like a response. Okay, as regarding, okay, we working it out and we sending it, you giving us our point, like, okay, 20, 40, 50, 100 points. But will there be like a particular place whereby you can notify us, okay, this is where you are wrong and this is where you need to
Sure.
work on?
I will do that. Yeah. I would comment on. Don't worry, I would comment on that. Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. So there is no more question. Thank you all joining, and see you all on Thursday.